friends, it's Jen. This is another episode of Reframing Me, and I am your host, Dr. Jennifer Brubaker. It is beautiful outside. It feels like fall. It's amazing. Football season has started. It's back to school season. It's pumpkin spice season. So, of course, this means new clothes and backpacks and school supplies and a whole lot of stress, right? All of a sudden, it's like literally overnight, everything kicks into high gear. And I love it. This is my favorite time of the year. I love this like summer to fall transition. It's fantastic. And with four of us in academia here, I always feel like our life goes from 0 to 1,000 seemingly overnight. And with teenagers, there's like extra stress, right? The social pressures, confidence issues, figuring things out, staying on top of things. And especially realistically, when so many of them have spent the last few months just pretty chill, like I do, all of it kicks in, right? All of the pressures start pretty quick and very sudden. So I thought with a little bit of fall in the air and a little bit of pumpkin spice in my coffee, I thought today would be a great time to have a conversation about some of the things that our teens can do to have a great school year, academically, socially, emotionally. You know, it's funny. I am constantly telling my kids things like every Jen is Zen episode, I try to work the prompt into multiple conversations. And of my three children, I have one who humors me, one who, to me, and one who rolls her eyes and sighs in annoyance. Well, just again today, earlier, and it happens very regularly, but yet again today, I got a TikTok notification that she reposted a video. So, like always, I look with curiosity to see what the video is that resonated with her that she reposted. And like it very often is, it's a self-development type TikTok. And this one was awesome. I mean, its message essentially was find your own happiness. Don't wait for others to make you happy or give it to you. Find your own happiness. It was beautiful. Totally something that I would love. Something that I would tell you all because I loved it so much. Something that I would tell her. But if I told her that, well, she'd roll her eyes and sigh. But if some random on TikTok says it, well, repost, 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 because TikTok knows everything and I, her mom, know nothing. Well, I mean, TikTok does know a lot of things that I don't know, but I'm her mother, so I definitely know nothing. But you know what? I'm not your kid's mom. I'm someone else's mom. So maybe, just maybe, they'll listen to me. Or at least they'll not roll their eyes and sigh in total exasperation. So I made a list, my top 10 pieces of advice or wisdom, tips, helpful hints, but things to think about and consider as they move into this new school year that I like to think will make them be their happiest, most content, and most successful versions of them. So, number one, we're going to lead off this list and this new school year with my intention for the year. So, in case you forget or are new, I am not good at choosing a word to focus on. So, for like a daily meditation or when people choose their word for the year, I can't do it. I panic. I can't commit. I'm going through 100,000 words. It's a mess. So, this year, though, I landed on an overall intention that I have found to really reflect the energy that I hope to embody. And yes, I have told my own kids this one many times over the last 8 months. Be the thermostat, not the thermometer. So, in every room that you walk into, every conversation, every relationship, every situation, every encounter, set the tone, set the energy, the temperature. Don't be the one to sit back and just read the vibe or the energy of the room. Be the thermostat, not the thermometer. Set the bar, set the tone. Don't wait for others to tell you or show you how to behave or how to feel or how to act. Be friendly, be happy, be confident. Lead the vibe. Number 2, don't take things personally. And I remind all of us about that one very regularly. Everything isn't about you. And probably even more accurately, very little is actually about you. The way that most people behave or talk, it's so much more about them than it is about you. If someone says something rude or snappy or even flat out mean, even bullies and mean girls, everything that they say and everything that they do is because of how they feel about themselves and their own position. Happy people are not mean. Happy people, well, they're probably not even thinking about you. Confident people, they don't feel the need to look down on others or to put others down. In fact, they are usually the ones who are trying to help others up. There's a saying, hurt people hurt people. Safe people save people. This goes for other kids at school, other moms in the pickup line, coworkers at work, and your family at home, your partner, your kids. And you know what? It even goes for you too, right? If you are happy and you are confident, then you are more positive and more patient. You're easier to live with and to work with. You are a pleasure to be around. But if you are insecure or you are unhappy, you are stressed, overwhelmed, you are much more likely to be snappy or unwilling to help or impatient or whatever with everyone around you, right? So when people do the same to you, don't take it personally because it is so much more about them than it is about you. And this is tied to number 3, okay? Number 3, don't make assumptions. So don't assume it's because of you. Even more than that, don't assume that you know what someone else means or someone else is thinking. Don't assume the face that they are making is one of disgust. Don't assume it's one of, she hates me. Maybe it's just her face. Don't assume that because someone is talking to someone else, that means that she doesn't like you and that she's talking about you. Don't assume that a text message is written in that bitchy tone that we all read text messages in our head. Don't assume you know what your friend or your partner or your child or the woman at the store. Don't assume that you know their thoughts or their intentions. And don't just assume the worst, like we all just default to assuming the worst. And if you do find yourself assuming because you don't know something, then fill in the blanks by asking. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. You seem off. Is there something I can do to help? That sounded a bit rude. Did you mean it that way? Don't assume that your daughter doesn't want to talk to you or that she doesn't have anything to say. Don't assume that your son wouldn't want to ride with you somewhere. With my son starting college last week, I think that we're all, and many of you in the same situation are probably feeling this way too. We're unsure how to navigate it all, right? I personally am just kind of communicating with him like I normally do. Like I send texts when I have something to say. I call if I need something. If he doesn't respond right away, I don't really care. If it's something that I really need, then I'll text again. But my husband and my younger two, they're having like a bit more of an issue trying to kind of figure out how they should communicate with him. They seem to be more hesitant to text him or to call him because like they think he's too busy or he's doing something else or he needs his space or whatever. The reality is though, I think it's coming across to him like they don't care or like they don't miss him. And those are things that legit could not be farther from the truth. But they're kind of assuming that he's at college, he wants space. Well, he is assuming that their silence means that they don't miss him. So I've had to be like to both sides, don't make assumptions. So I tell my kids, text your brother. If he doesn't want to answer just then he won't. And I've had to tell him, just text them. Don't assume that they don't miss you, that they're doing something else. Just text them. I told my husband, oh my gosh, just call him if you want to know something. But we all do this. We all make up stories in our head. We assume that we know everything about a situation or about what someone is thinking, and we are usually completely off base. When a girl in school or a mom at school, right? Same thing. When she's standing over there quiet and standing alone, we may assume she's standoffish. She's bitchy. She thinks she's too good for us. Maybe she's nervous or insecure or an introvert. When someone doesn't acknowledge us when we see them, we assume they are rude, they're mean, they hate us, they think we're awful, they think that we'd be embarrassing to talk to, they think that they're better than us. We assume like a bazillion things. But why don't we assume that they didn't see us? Why don't we assume that they were preoccupied and just didn't make the connection? Why didn't we assume that they were wearing one contact lens? That's usually me, why I can't see people. But we have a negativity bias. We have our own insecurities, and we assume things based off of it, which would be bad enough. But then we double down on it, right? We let our own actions reflect those assumptions. We base our own actions and our own reactions not necessarily off of reality. We base them off of what we assume is reality because that's how the communication process works. So what that means is entire interactions and entire relationships can be negatively impacted, not by what someone else says to you or does to you or thinks about you, but on what you assume someone intends. If we could remove the assumptions. So if you're unclear, ask the questions. I know that we'd all like to think that I'm talking only to teens right now. But we all know that we, the adults, we even do this too. We do this in our interactions with our teens, in our relationships with them and with our partner and with our coworkers and with that mom who is not around as much as the other moms. We assume that she doesn't want to be there. We assume she's disconnected, that she doesn't care, that she's hands off. She's too good to help to participate. Maybe she just works two jobs. Maybe she has social anxiety. Maybe she's caring for a parent. Who knows? We assume our teens are being disrespectful when they act out, or is something bothering them maybe, and that's why they're acting out. We assume that they're too busy to talk to us, that they have lives of their own now. We assume that we'd be burdening them to ask a favor. Just stop with that. Don't make assumptions. Just like they, and I'm sure that we did it too when we were teens, they assume that we, their parents, we don't understand. We can't relate. We would be angry. They assume that we prioritize our careers or our space or our time or our other kids. Don't make assumptions. Okay, I'll stop with that one because I could obviously go on and on forever about that one. Clearly, I'm passionate about it. Stop creating narratives in your head. But honestly, it actually, you know what? It even goes back to my first point. My intention of the year. Be the thermostat, not the thermometer. Because if you're setting the tone, you're setting the vibe, the energy, then you're not basing your response off of any assumptions. Okay, number 4. And this is one, I wish that I had realized this one like 4+ decades ago in my life. It would have changed things. Be confident. Confidence has absolutely nothing to do with them and everything to do with you. Don't wait for someone to like you, for you to like you. Don't wait for someone to think you're pretty or smart or talented for you to think that you're pretty or smart or talented. Don't require others to validate you. Validate your fucking self. Be true to yourself. Don't base who you are off of what you think anyone else wants you to be. Be authentic, be genuine. And here's the kicker. Don't edit yourself for anyone or anything. I spent way too many years trying to be the person who others wanted me to be. And the irony is, people actually prefer authenticity. So be authentic. Allow yourself to confidently be your authentic self because of you and who you are. And if they don't like that person for whatever reason, well, refer back to number two. Don't take it personally, because obviously it's a flaw on their part, their own issues, their own insecurity. So don't let your confidence be based off of their issues. Number 5. Oh, this is another one that I wish I had known. And I am becoming better and better at following it, but it can be hard. Okay. Number 5, practice the pause. Before you assume, take the pause. What else could this be? Why else could he be behaving this way? What is she really doing? But practice the pause. Before you react to something, take the pause. Is this response going to be productive? Is there a better way that I could react? How could I respond from a place of peace? Before you speak, take the pause. Is this kind? Is this helpful? Is this warranted? Are my words supportive? Are my words authentic? Practice the pause. Is this who I want to be? Is this how I want to react? Because there is one thing that is absolutely certain. We cannot control what life brings. We cannot control what our day brings. We cannot control other people. But we can control how we respond to it all. So always take the pause before you react. Number 6. Okay, so when I was literally about to say, when I just looked at this, oh, I wish I'd have known this one earlier. So that's yet another one I'm saying I wish I had known when I was a teenager. So apparently I am speaking to teenage Jen here. I needed someone else's mom to tell me these things 30 years ago, I guess, because of course I most likely would have rolled my eyes and sighed had my own mother told me these things, because teenagers don't want to hear their mothers tell them these things, just like mine. So, number 6, someone else's success isn't your failure. We spend so much of our life, okay, especially women, for whatever reason. It seems that women spend so much time feeling like we are competing with each other for some kind of award, for some limited resources. Like, if she's pretty, then I must not be. If she's smart, then I must not be. If her marriage is happy, then mine must not be. Or like our kids when they're little, right? If you tell him he did good, then I must have done bad, right? But the reality is, we are typically, like in normal life, we are not typically competing with other people, yet we are constantly comparing ourselves to them. There is room at the top for everyone. Just because they're successful, it doesn't mean you're not. And if you help someone up, if you reach out your hand to pull them up too, it doesn't mean that you're going to go down. So help them up. There is room for all of us at the top. There's a saying that a candle doesn't get any less bright because it lights another candle. And I love that. If someone gets to the top first, it doesn't mean that you won't, or that you give up, or that you're a failure. It just means they're there right now and you're not. So you can get there too in your due time. So if you're the quote unquote popular person, and I have told you before that that word popular, it gives me the ick, because what does it even mean? But anyway, for our purposes, if you're the popular kid, use that to help others up. If you're the popular mom, because we all know that the queen bees just age, right? If you're the popular mom, use that to help others. If you're the oh my God, I can't think of another word other than popular right now. Admired, maybe? Respected? Okay, respected. That's better. So if you're the respected employee or the admired teacher or influencer or whatever, help others up. There is room at the top for everyone. When Beyonce or Taylor Swift, when they collab with a new artist, it doesn't make them any less popular, right? It doesn't make them any less revered. Revered, there's a good one too. So why are we hesitant to bring people up with us? And maybe if people weren't so hesitant to pull others up, if we were more likely to help others rather than pushing others down, maybe we wouldn't feel so threatened by other people's success. Okay, number 7, manifest your future. Manifest your goals, who you want to be, who you want to become. Practice who you want to be. Act as if you are that person. Make sure that your behaviors and even your most basic, simple, everyday behaviors, but make sure that those behaviors line up with that person, that future, those goals. The very simplest, basic thing that I can give as an example that I have been asking myself lately. So I'm not typically a late night person. I like to get my X hours of sleep. And so I work backwards from when I need to get up, and I try to go to bed at a good, reasonable time. But since Tobias has been at school, I do find that I am staying up much later than I have in years. I guess I like to know that he's safely back in his dorm, and I guess it started that week leading up to him leaving when my mind was like racing and apparently I was channeling my inner poet. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go and listen to the 'Twas the Night Before Move-In episode where I shared like my first poem that I had written in like 30 years. And most likely, probably the last poem really that I will write in a good amount of years. But anyway, I find myself lately sitting in bed on my phone or my laptop or just not even getting into bed until very late. And I'm like, I don't want to get up and brush my teeth and floss and use my whitener and whatever. But then I ask myself, and I literally have been asking myself that, this kind of person who goes to bed with icky, dirty teeth, is that the type of person I want to be? The type of person who achieves success? And it never fails me. I get up and I go do it because I am not the kind of person who sleeps with icky teeth. But that obviously, that transfers to everything that we are or everything that we want to be. Have a clear idea of your goals. Is it making a particular sports team, being a college athlete, getting into a certain college, being, quote, popular? Or for us, is it being, happy and fulfilled in your job of your dreams? Being a happy and content empty nester someday? Purchasing the house of your dreams? Act as if you are the person and you are on the path to manifesting that success that you have set as your goal. Number 8, be grateful. Have gratitude. There is always something to be grateful for. Even when it seems hard to find those things, there is always something to be grateful for. But focusing on how lucky you are, I've told you that every morning, the very first thing that I say is, I am such a lucky girl. Good things always happen to me. There is a concept, it's called lucky girl syndrome, and it ties into manifesting. But it really just impacts the frame that you use to see the world, the narratives that you tell yourself, how you see and appreciate what you have. It creates the energy that brings even more good things to you. Focusing on the good. Have gratitude for what you have. Cultivate gratitude for all the good that is around you. Number 9, be organized. don't just wing it. Winging it does not work. Find a system to stay organized that works for you. Whatever it is that works for you, just get it done. Write a list, keep a planner, put notes into your phone, use your phone's calendar. I know my kids will text me things that they want to remember. They'll text them to like just between them and I so that they can have it written down somewhere that then they can go back and refer to. I do the same thing, but I text things to myself that I want to remember. Whatever your system, just have one and stick to it. I remember back when I started grad school and I was so very overwhelmed. And I'm like, I can't think that far out right now. I will not be able to do it. So I started a weekly to-do list because while I couldn't handle looking at the whole program or even the whole semester, I could totally manage a week. If I could get through a week at a time, I'd be good. So every week I'd have a list of what I needed to do that week. And if it was something that was like farther out than a week, I would put think about whatever or plan for or keep in mind or whatever, but to have it on my radar, but just in a very early kind of stage. That way I kept myself on track without being overwhelmed. And a part of this for me and for my list is also prioritizing. So I also include when it needs to be done specifically or when I can start doing it. So like if I make my list on a Monday, I know that I need to grade a set of papers that week. But if they aren't due until Tuesday at midnight, I can include that I can start doing it Wednesday or after. And then I look at my list and I put numbers to prioritize the order to do things. Now, it's a mess, 100%. To others, they might look at it and see absolutely nothing of value. But to me, it's everything. I have one journal and I keep everything written in it. Every one of my lists, all of my notes, everything. And I save them when they're full. I save all of them. I have years and years and years. Here I am 25 years later. I'm keeping the exact same system. I have this back stock of journals. Whatever your system, and no, it can't be my system is I remember. No, that's not a system. Whatever the system, have a commitment to it and stick with it. Because would the person you want to be, would the person who is accomplishing the goals that you have, would that person have a solid system? Of course they would. Number 9, use your words wisely. I have referred many times over the years to an amazing and life-changing book called The Four Agreements. And that book really taught me so much. Not making assumptions, rather, I guess, came from that book too. But it taught me about using words wisely. Remembering that our words create our reality. Our words to others, our words to ourselves, they create the world around us. So use them well. Okay, number 10. There's a concept called reciprocity. It basically says that we like people who like us. We talk about it in my persuasion class. We can look at psychologically what makes people more attracted to us, more captivated by us, what makes them like us so that we can use it to improve our relationships. Basically, it's how we can persuade others to like us. So I guess number 10 is a bit of a catch-all, like communicate in a way that people like. You would think that that is like the most simple, most basic. This isn't a tip because we're all doing it at this point, right? But if it was that basic and so simple, would so many people struggle with it? We've even mentioned the concept of reciprocity in the past. I think it was in the popularity episode, and I did check, and that was episode 120. So you can go back to that and listen for more. But for right now, I'll just remind you of the different facets of making people like you. Being an active listener, paying attention, being interested in what others are saying, which means that you listen to understand, not just to respond to them. Use their name when you talk to them. People like to hear their name. Now, this is one that I personally am trying to work on. It's a struggle for me because I am horrible with names. I am the person who in fact, last night at the football game, one of the football games, I introduced myself, somebody introduced themselves to me, and I clarified twice, not once, twice. I clarified what the name was. I have no idea. It's like it goes in one ear and out the other one, but I am trying on it. I don't even call my own children the right names, probably 90% of the time. But use names, people like that. Use nonverbal cues that reinforce your likability and your approachability. So, like maintaining eye contact, smiling, nod your head as they speak, have an open body posture. These nonverbals all make you more approachable and engaging and make people feel like they can be comfortable with you. And we like people who we can be comfortable with. Be kind, do little things for people. Small acts of kindness creates a feeling of indebtedness, which makes you more likable and more charismatic to others. Find something that you have in common with others. We are drawn to people who we feel similar to. Why? Well, we like ourselves. We're comfortable with ourselves. We can predict how we will behave. And if we see someone as being similar to us, well, that makes us comfortable with them because we think we can more likely predict how they will behave, and therefore we like them. So find and highlight commonalities that you have with others. Show positive things like kindness or humor or honesty. Traits that most all of us deem to be good traits because there is something called the halo effect, which means that showing good traits creates a kind of halo around you, which makes people see your other traits as being good as well. And part of that is giving compliments. I mean, genuine compliments. Compliments reinforce us. Compliments make us feel good, right? People like people who reinforce them and who make them feel good. Show empathy. Empathy, something that has really been lost over the last decade. But people with high emotional intelligence can understand and manage emotions, their own emotions and the emotions of others. And these are the people who we like and who we are drawn to. Kindness and empathy, shockingly lost skills that work wonders. Okay, y'all, that's my top 10 things that I would and will remind my own teens going into this new school year. The top 10 things that I would hope that they would listen to, even if they are rolling their eyes. The top 10 things that I wish that teenage Jen had known. The top 10 things that I want your teens to know to make them happy and content and successful in everything that they do this year and beyond. So maybe they'll listen to you, or maybe they'll listen to me because I'm not their mom. I'm someone else's mom. Thank you so much for being here today and always. If you have enjoyed the show, I am always so appreciative of you forwarding on to your friends who you might also think would benefit, because that's how we're growing this wonderful community. Please find me on Facebook and Instagram at Reframing Me, TikTok at Reframing Me. Until next time, be well and communicate.